Thank you very much. And today for our GDPRD interview series, we have Rodrigo Madrazo, who is the Chief Executive Officer at EDFI Management Company. Good morning. Thank you for being with us. And thank you for speaking at the AGA, the GDPRD AGA. So we often hear that blended finance is the new frontier for agri-food system, the panacea. Now, while we know very well that it's not a panacea, finance is moving towards that direction with public donors. Now, why do you think blended finance for food and agriculture is still taking a long time to take off? And what will make a difference, especially in donor and MDB approaches, to make that jump?
Thank you very much for the question, Mauricio. And I think you are only partially right, meaning that blended finance have already taken off. But as you pointed out, it is still far from expectations. Remember that in 2015, in the Addis Ababa United Nations Conference on Development Finance, the slogan "From billions to trillions" got very popular. But actually, this is very difficult to be achieved. From billions to trillions means adding 3 zeros. And this is getting a 100 times multiplier. This is out of reach for blended finance. And this is why maybe there is some disappointment about the pace of deployment of blended finance instruments. So at the end, blended finance can do a lot of things, but it cannot do miracles. So I think we need to be very honest and very transparent and target multipliers and mobilization objectives that are doable. And we know, at least in the experience of EDFI Management Company, the asset management company of the European Development Finance Institutions, that when blended finance is properly deployed, it has the capability of mobilizing private capital, but not to that extent. Multipliers of 4 to 10 are already excellent multipliers.
And then, so what do you think public and private investors should do to ensure dialogue turns into effective action, especially at the country level, so that at the end of the day, the farmers that we target receive the funding they need?
To provide blended finance solutions, it is necessary to blend concessional resources with other resources, either commercial or not, that are more adverse to risk. So the most valuable resource is the concessional one, and it is capital that donors, national governments use this scarce resource for very specific public policy goals. And of course, agriculture development and food security is one of them. Once we have identified those priorities, public-private sector collaboration needs to start. And this is the case where many institutions, including DFIs, can be very, very useful. It is very important also to set up good structures because DFIs normally are banks and they need to take care of their balance sheets and their results account. This means that it is very important to have not only on-balance but also off-balance activities. That is to say that donors, governments can grant very specific mandates to DFIs and other institutions that can deliver on those public policy goals, including, of course, rural development and food security.
How do you see the current geopolitical situation being favorable, conducive, or unfavorable to building an environment that will allow investments to increase, in particular with catalytic capital?
Prospects in the international scene are not very promising, and I think in the future we will witness two deprioritizations. First, official development aid is likely to be reduced, and also, and this is the second one, the agri-food sector is likely to give pace to other sectors that are attracting more attention from donors and governments, including energy, critical raw materials, health and pharma. So against this, let's say, gloomy background, what can be done? Well, we need to get the most out of the scarce resource. I think we need to take smart risks for a greater result in terms of impact. This is the way forward. And also, given the international scene, we need to look for win-win options. This means that two targets need to be addressed at the same time. On the one hand, sustainable development, in particular in rural areas, in hosting countries, and on the other hand, clear benefits to donors. And this today is very much related to having orderly migration flows, which is very much related to job creating opportunities on the ground, and also to food security supply. So I think the equilibrium should be there in the future. A win-win when both donor and hosting country get benefits.
Thank you so much, Rodrigo Madrazo, CEO of EDFI Management Company. Thank you very much for being with us. It was a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Very good day.